All right, so good morning, and let's get started. We're going to start lying on the block with the shoulders on the block, and you can have the legs out straight or in Baddha Konasana, feet together, knees out to the side. Ah, so on to your mat. Maybe starting with a sitting Baddha Konasana for a few moments if you like. My hip joints usually like that. Nice big inhale and long exhale, slowing things down. And then shoulders on the block. Give your neck a little lengthen out and over. And keep using your breath. Doesn't matter if it's taking you a while to get settled in this morning here. I find that's when I get the most like fidgety and kind of jittery is when I'm trying to rush and feel like I have to get myself situated here as quickly as possible. And that's when I end up feeling all fidgety. Taking as much time as you need. Really letting your focus come into the body and the breath. And then as we get settled in at that first layer, here we are. And maybe we keep moving in a little more deeply. And if you feel inspired, breathing out through the fingertips, breathing the arms up overhead and back down, or whatever you want. Engaging with your body where it is at this moment. And we'll take a few more breaths here on the block. And then finishing up here on the block, if you've got that Baddha Konasana, sliding the legs out to straight. And then as gently as you can, making your way up off the block. And sitting in Sukhasana with crossed legs. And using the arms alongside, lengthening up. Getting space between the vertebrae, space in the hip sockets. And finishing with that, letting the hands rest on the knees. Inhale and exhale, long and spacious spine, pouring down the sides of the neck off the tops of the shoulders. And continuing to smooth out that breath. Continuing to deepen your focus into your own body, into yourself. Gradually moving into places in your body that are still a little dull, into places in your mind that are a little resistant, thoughts that don't want to be let go of. And then reaching out wide through the collarbones, through the fingertips. Inhale and exhale, breathing the arms up. And breathing them down. And again, breathing those arms up. And a big reach down, and then breathing them halfway up, straight out from the shoulders. Reach a little wider through the fingertips, pressing back with the back of the arms. And then we'll eagle pose the arms. So I'm being right-left mirror at the moment, crossing the right arm under. One option is to hold the shoulders, or wrapping those arms into the eagle pose arms. Inhale and exhale, energetically dropping the shoulders down, lengthening through the top of the head. And then even as those arms are squeezed in, there's an expanding from the inside out at the same time. And then releasing the arms, big stretch around. We'll go to the other side, reaching the arms out wide, press open, left arm comes under, maybe holding the shoulders or wrapping the arms and breathing here. And that difference between what the body might be doing. So as we energetically drop our shoulders down, our actual shoulders might be being pulled a little in and up toward our ears, but we can still energetically go down, and we're squeezed in there, wrapped around, but we can still expand outward. And then untwining those arms. And let's change the cross of the legs. And coming forward and over. Nice big round breaths across the back of the body. And then taking a little reach out with the right arm, bringing it up, coming up, and let that right arm do a big half circle around, taking you into the twist to the. And then reaching back with the right arm, start bringing it back up overhead. Big reach up and over and back out into the forward bend. And then we'll go to the other side, reaching out through the left arm, bringing it up in a big half circle, carrying you into a twist to the left. And then reaching back through that left arm, bringing it back up overhead and back forward and down and into the forward bend. And then coming up, unfurling that spine back up on top of the sitting bones. Inhale and exhale. And let's come on to all fours. And we'll do a few cats and cows. So you can be cat and cowing while I'm doing the tucking in of the shirt. And breathing through the spine, getting a little movement through the vertebrae. Maybe a little forward and back, or a big forward and back. And then we will finish with that. And getting those knees right up under the hips, shoulders over the wrist. And we'll extend our left leg back with the toes tucked under, pressing back into the left heel, stretching down the back of the left. And then lifting that right thigh up, long line from the knee to the left heel. And then if you're feeling up for it, maybe we swoop up to three-legged dog for a couple breaths. And then you'll bring the right leg down and we'll all meet up on all fours, kneeling again. And we'll extend the right leg back with the toes tucked under, pressing back into the right heel. And lifting the left thigh up, hover plank.
And then maybe swooping up to three-legged dog. And bringing the left leg down, back onto all fours and back into child's pose. Ah. And then let's slide forward into the Sphinx, elbows under the shoulders, pulling back with the elbows, pulling back with the hands, wide across the collarbones. And maybe there's a little more lift. The elbows will lighten or lift by pulling back on the hands more. We press the knuckles into the floor, the fingers. And calming down, forehead on the hands, taking a deep breath. And then we will peel ourselves back to downward facing dog. Oh, so if you have blocks there, we're putting one on each side. We're going to be straightening up the front leg in the pyramid pose of Parsvottanasana. So blocks can be handy there. And then here we are in downward facing dog, walking the dog or anything else you want to do here. And then finishing with whatever you're doing, being in the best downward facing dog of this moment. Nothing moving but the breath. And let's lift the right leg up, reaching down through the left heel. And through to the lunge. And we'll bring the left knee down and Jayasana, the kneeling. Inhaling up the front, exhale, forward down the back. And then a big circle around with the arms, carrying them around with that circle of the breath. And namaste in front. And then hinging back into the runner stretch, maybe using your blocks here, actively pulling back with the ball of the foot, pulling up the top of the right leg. And reaching through the right foot, rolling forward and coming up in the high lunge, or it could be the warrior one. And then circling those arms all the way around and back up overhead once again. And reaching down and straightening the front leg, maybe using the blocks under the hands. You can keep your left foot parallel with the heel maybe a little lifted, or turn it in and ground it down, either one. And breathing here. Keep actively pulling up through the top of the right leg, using the muscles to straighten the leg. And lunging forward again, and we're going to come up in the standing split, lifting that left leg up wherever it will go, pouring down through the top of the head, and we're still actively pulling up through those legs. And bringing the left leg down next to the right, into the forward bend. Right and left legs might have a very different feeling there. But trying to breathe into that, finding that deeper symmetry and balance. And then let's come up to standing, big front body yawn. Pressing the arms down along through the top of the head. And we're going to breathe the right arm, left arm up and over in a side bend to the right. Pressing out into the outer left hip. And a big inhale, reaching on the right diagonal, bending the knees, scooping yourself over with the bent knee forward bend. And then straightening up those legs and concave back halfway up, folding over, jumping or stepping back through the Vinyasa, downward facing dog. And we'll go around with the left, lifting the left leg up. And through to the lunge. Bring the right knee down and Vinyasa. And then using the breath to carry the arms all the way around and back up overhead. And namaste in front. And hinging back, flexing that left foot, pulling up the front of the left leg, pulling up with the ball of the foot. I forgot to mention you could use your right hand there on that left foot if you wanted. And then reaching through the left foot, coming back up into the lunge and up into the high lunge or the warrior number. And we'll circle those arms all the way around again. And a big reach down and into either the pyramid pose with our back heel square and back leg perfectly parallel, or Parsvottanasana, where you let that right heel rotate in a little bit and come to the floor. And keep pulling up through the leg muscles, actively straightening the legs as you pour over. Breathing deeply. And then lunging forward, and we will come up in the standing split, reaching that right leg up, pulling up through the left leg, even as you reach that left foot down into the floor. And bringing the right leg down next to the left. Breathing here. Trying to balance out the two legs. And coming up to standing, big front body long. Pressing the arms down long through the top of the head. And then we'll breathe up through the right arm up and over to the left or the other side. Side bending away. And then pressing a little into the right outer hip. And the big inhale and exhale, reaching on the diagonal, bending the knees, scooping in and up, letting the head go, and then extending the legs. And concave back, folding over through the Vinyasa, downward facing dog. And let's lift our right leg up, long through the heel. And let's have more hover planks today. So 3 or number of your choice. Inhale and exhale, knee forward. Inhale and exhale. And once again. Then bending the knee dog at the high fire height. And through to the lunge. Let's turn to the elephant rider. Pressing those knees out. A little squinging in the hips. And then let's slide. So maybe making the feet a little wider as we shift over toward the left to the back of the mat, straightening the right and actively straightening that right leg. So kind of like we were going to low side lunge, but then we don't go down, just pull wide across. And then sliding over toward the right leg, straightening the left. Actively straightening that left leg, trying to engage with it. And sliding over to the left again. And this time we will go down into the low side lunge. So finding your block, coming down. Or maybe sitting on the floor, wedging the left arm inside the leg and keep working that right leg, pulling up through the thigh, reaching away through the heel. And expanding the arms, twisting to the right. And then bringing that right arm over the ear in a side bend. The big reach back around to namaste. And coming up ever so gracefully into the wide leg forward bend. Arming up to standing big front body one. Pressing those arms down, reaching wide. And then we'll rotate the right leg out toward the front of the mat, 90 degrees. And going into the warrior number 2. Inner thigh to the inner knee over the front. And dancing warrior, bringing that right arm up, side bending again. And into the triangle Trikonasana. Few more breaths here, expanding a little more. And then coming down to the lunge and up to the standing split. Flooring over. And then we'll jiva squat, bending the right knee, pulling the left knee behind, squeezing thigh to thigh, squeezing the left heel up, a little pull up in the abdominal muscles, and expanding back up. So let's do that 3 times. Inhale and exhale, contract. Inhale and exhale once more. Actually, I meant once more, but that's okay. Coming back up, so we did 3, holding your standing split, another breath. And then we'll jiva squat once more, and then taking it down into Matsyendrasana. Deep breath, landing on the floor, but still standing on the sitting bones long through the top of the head. And let's take a twist to the right. Inhale, lots of space, exhale, and Back to the center, taking that right knee down into Vinyasa, a cow face pose if you can, or else you can stay with the Matsyendrasana or maybe go to the crossed legs. Right knee going down, a little lift up and out of the hips as best you can, even though once again we're squeezing in and trying to expand out at the same time. And eagle pose, the arms, reaching the arms wide, right arm crosses under or holding the shoulders. And then untwining the arms, untwining the legs, sliding them straight out in front, coming over in a forward bend for a few breaths. And then let's come up into Vasana, the boat pose, bending the knees in. So holding on behind the thighs, on the floor, maybe arms straight out. And then the other option is not straightening the legs completely, but parallel shins to the floor. Try to lift up long through the top of the head. If you've got parallel shins, there's still a feeling of reaching out even as you hold in, or maybe straightening the legs. And then we're trying to breathe and make it look easy. And folding those legs down, coming up onto your feet into the standing forward bend. And then coming up to standing, big front body yawn. And around to namaste and inhale and exhale. Some steady stillness. All right, and then coming back over, big lift up. And diving concave back, folding over through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. And then off we go on that long journey through the left side. Hopefully I will remember the way. Let's lift our left leg up. And 3 hover planks, inhale and exhale, just like taking a big breath. Inhale, 3-legged dog, exhale, pulling in. And then we're back in 3-legged dog, bending the knee dog at the high fire hydrant. And through to the lunge, turning to the elephant rider. Be a little squinging in the hips. And then with nice wide feet, we'll slide
shifting toward the right leg first, straightening the left, actively straightening that left leg. And then sliding over to the left leg, straightening right. And then over to the right leg. You grabbing your block there, we'll continue into the low side lunge. Or you can sit on the floor, using the half dragonfly. Sitting on the floor is a good option here. I always think of the good options to say when we're on the second side. Anyway, hopefully you'll remember next time if you want to use that. And here we are. Right arm wedged against the right leg, long through the top of the head. Actively engaging with the left leg, pulling that thigh up, reaching through the heel. And then expanding the arms, twisting to the left. And curving that left arm over the ear into a side bend. And round to namaste again for a moment. And then up into the wide leg forward bend. Prasarita Padottanasana. Smoothing things out with your breath. And coming up to standing, big front body yawn. Pressing those arms down, reaching wide. And then rotating the left leg out. And going into the warrior two, leading with that left inner thigh to inner knee over toes. Breathing here, relax the shoulders a little. Side bending again, left arm up and away. And into the triangle, Trikonasana, straightening the left leg. And even once that left leg is straight, it keeps straightening. By pulling up the left leg, not by jamming down on it. And even if that left leg isn't completely straight, it can still be straightening with that pulling up on a long back diagonal action. One more deep breath. And then coming down and down to the lunge and up into the standing split. And we will Jiva squat. So one really slow and careful and deliberate holding here. Finding that squeeze of knee to knee, thigh to thigh, pulling the right ankle up and that pull up in the abdominal muscles. So it's not a collapse down when we come here, it's a pull in. And then expanding back up, doing that 3 times. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And once more. And we're back up in the standing split, taking a couple breaths. Jiva squat to take you into Matsyendrasana with the left leg crossed over. Moment of gratitude for being back here on the floor, perhaps. But then lifting up through the top of the head and twisting to the left. Inhale and exhale. And back to the center, taking that top leg down into Gomukhasana or staying in the Matsyendrasana, maybe the crossed legs. And then we have a squeezing in of the legs, even as we have a little bit of expanding out as well. And let's eagle pose those arms again. Left arm coming under. We're all wrapped into the center, but we don't implode. Pressing out like the air pressing out against the sides of a balloon. And untwining the arms, untwining the legs, coming forward for a couple breaths. And coming up, Vinyasa, the boat pose. Balancing up on the sitting bones, extending the legs, ending them out, extending long through the top of the head. Trying to feel that breath moving through the body, pouring out the heels, out the top of the head. And then folding the legs down and rolling up onto the feet, coming into the forward bend. And coming up to standing, big front body one. And around to Namaste in front. Samastiti steadiness. And releasing hands, and then we'll stand around on one leg. So if you want, going to a wall or some other support. We're going to be Padangusthasana number one, leg straight out in front, and then taking that into the eagle pose. This one. All right. Actually comes as no surprise right now that I've said it. It's pretty much what we've done a lot of. All right, finding your Tadasana again. And then bringing that right leg up in front at a right angle, pressing into the left foot to extend that right leg out long to the top of the head. Maybe bringing the arms up overhead. And then into the eagle pose, a big inhale and exhale, hinging back in the hips, folding that right leg around, maybe hooking the foot, but don't force that. Squeeze the inner thighs, pulling evenly back in the hinge of the hip joints. And if you're feeling nice and steady, you could go and add the eagle pose arms onto that. So with the right leg on top, we have the right arm under. And then untangling everything into a front body yawn. And back around to namaste. Taking a breath. Other side. And we'll bring the left leg up, square in front. And then as we extend our left leg, also feel like you extend the right into the floor, pressing that right foot into the floor, extending the left leg out. And then maybe bringing the arms up overhead. And eagle pose, lift a little higher as you fold that left leg around, squeezing the legs together. And so the left leg squeezes across the top. The right leg also feels like in that Jiva squat that it's doing a little squeeze in from underneath. And maybe balancing here in namaste or with one hand on the wall. Or if you're feeling steady enough, maybe the eagle pose arms, left arm on. And disentangling everything. Big front body yawn. Around to namaste. Deep breath. All right, so let's repeat that back to the first side. Now that we know what we're doing. Some steadiness. Bringing the right leg up in front. Pressing into the left foot to extend the right leg out. And maybe arms up overhead. And a big lift and into the eagle pose. Pulling back in, hinge of the hips. One thing I forgot to say is we're hinging here. That's a little like that same boat pose work. Completely different orientation to gravity, but it's still that lift and lengthen at a right angle with the legs and torso.
maybe adding the eagle pose arms or not, right arm. And we'll disentangle everything. Big front body yawn. Around to namaste. Namaste, steadiness. And then second side. Bringing the left leg up at a right angle in front. Pressing down to press out. And then maybe arms up over. And the eagle pose, feel like you lift a little higher, pulling that left leg in and around. Strong in the lower abdominal muscles as we hinge back, squeezing the legs together. And maybe going to the eagle pose arms. And then finishing with this, disentangling your legs. Big front body yawn. And once more round to namaste. Samasthiti steadiness. Might be a different kind of steadiness than it was 5 or 10 minutes ago. More steady from having balanced, and now we're on 2 feet. Less steady because we've gotten weary. Or somewhere in between. And then here we are at the front of the mat. And let's release the hands. Taking a circle with the shoulders interlocking the fingers. Pouring down through the backs of the hands. The squeeze of the upper arms. And then lengthening up the front of the body to lift the chest, to lift the chin. And coming forward and over. Keeping the hands interlocked, bend the arms into the, bend the legs, into the sphere, trying to arch that back like the concave back. And then tipping over again. And releasing the hands. And concave back. Folding over through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. Or maybe through the vinyasa several more times if you want. And here we are, downward facing dog, taking 3 deep breaths here. Coming down, sitting back in child's pose. And sliding forward onto our stomach into the space. Pulling back with the elbows, pulling back with the hands. Press of the tailbone into the floor as you pull the hip bones a little forward and up. Maybe the elbows will lift, but don't force that. Pulling back more with the hands, trying to press into the knuckles and fingertips more. And calming down. And then coming up, we'll take the legs straight out in front. So we're going to Purvottasana front plank with straight legs. You could do the bent legs, the reverse tabletop instead, or you can lie on the block, actually, kind of the same shape. All right, so here we are. The legs are parallel, hip distance apart, or maybe right together. Bringing the hands behind, fingers forward, diagonal or side. So I usually go kind of for diagonal. And then working the arms and shoulders like the interlocked fingers. So your arms might be straight. My arms are really long, so they have a huge bend here. Yours might not. Feeling like those interlocked fingers we were just doing. And then reaching down through the legs. So we're doing that same big pull up the front of the legs like we did when we were straightening our legs in various stretchy things. And then reaching through the heels. So we go down the back of the legs and then up the front of the legs to lift the chest, to lift the chin. And taking 6 to 8 breaths or number of your choice. And coming down. Peeling those hands up, a couple wrist circles or whatever you need. And let's come down to the floor. And then we will do a bridge pose. Many of the same elements, we've just changed all our orientations to gravity. All right, here we are. As we scoop that tailbone up, lifting up, and interlock the fingers behind yet again. And even though our head is against the floor, it's not going anywhere, there's still a little feeling that lift up through the chest, as if we could lift the chin. That actions also might help keep the back of the neck from getting too crushed into the floor. As we breathe here, 6 to 8 breaths or different number if you like. And rolling down, landing on the floor. And then let's do that bridge pose again, or maybe Urdhva Dhanurasana. The wheel, well, if it's the wheels, Chakrasana is the wheel name. The upward facing bow, or that bridge pose again, or possibly the supported bridge pose with the block. And here we go, coming up, opening the front of the body somehow. That's the basic point.
And coming down. Ah, landing on the floor. And let's figure 4. Or something similar if you'd like to do something different. Crossing the right leg over, reaching through the triangle, pulling that in. And then let's switch sides, crossing the left leg over, reaching through the triangle, pulling that in. And then setting that down and into Shavasana. Inhale and exhale, letting go, resting into the earth. And letting your breath travel through your body, finding little places of resistance, or maybe not finding any little places of resistance. Things that could have a little more weight, a little more ease. And then breathing back into your body, into the room. Moving the fingers and toes, getting the circulation going. Stretching the arms up overhead. Bending knees. And gently making your way up to sitting. And sitting in any comfortable position with a long and spacious spine. Taking a few more moments sitting quietly inside yourself. Namaste. Thank you for coming. Yeah, sorry, I have the recording running. All right.